This photo is the last known image of a woman who has disappeared in Poland. This is the case of Iwona Wieczorek. Viewer discretion is advised. I do want to apologize in advance. I feel like I don't have all of the details on this one. Many of the stories are not written in English, but I think I have the gist of it. So in 2010, Iwona was a 19-year-old living in Gdańsk, which is in Poland. Now, obviously, she was young, and of course, she just loved to party. She loved going out with friends, hanging out at clubs. She was also on the verge of a trip to Spain, so she had a whole lot of stuff to look forward to. But on the evening of July 17th, 2010, Iwona would go out with some friends. One of them was her best friend, Adria, who happened to live in the same apartment complex as her. They first went over to the house of one of their friends who was having a big party that night. After some time, Iwona wanted to go to a club. So her and Adria and then 3 male friends of theirs, who they didn't know that well, they all left the house party and went to a club. Now, this is where I'm not sure if I have all of the details, but when they were at the club, there was some sort of argument amongst this little group of friends, but I don't know what the fight was about. And according to some places where I've read, they're not even sure if there was even an argument. But regardless, Iwona, she stormed out of the club on her own. This is CCTV footage from just outside that club, and right here is Iwona leaving. Then there's other cameras down the run that pick her up. This is her walking down the seaside, and this is where you can tell she's carrying something in her hands, which later you'll see is her shoes. She was wearing high heels at the time, and she told her friends that I'm gonna walk back to my apartment. This is like 3-4 miles away from the club. Walking that distance in heels, ladies, I'm sure isn't very fun. This is the last known image that was caught on CCTV. Does anything jump out to you? Anything at all?
Well, there's man in the background.
First of all, you can see that she is now barefoot and she is holding a pair of shoes. Who's that? This is a zoomed in photo of a man who has a towel or a jacket draped over his shoulder. He's either barefoot himself or wearing flip-flops, and he just happens to be in the same image of a woman who then disappeared. Because Iwona never got home, and she would be reported missing later that day, but police would not start investigating it for a week. They said that this man had nothing to do with it, but they haven't said how they know that. But that's it. She's gone. She's vanished. She's fallen off the face of the earth. There's been no sightings of her. No one's heard from her. There's no suspects in this at all. There's no signs of foul play, and this is just unsolved.
How are the police going to say there's no evidence that there's foul play involved? I think it's very obvious that there is. As a person from Poland and followed the case closely, they managed to find out who the man was and have interviewed him. They ruled him out after some evidence was provided that he actually just went for an early swim in the sea, or that's what they say. Her mum was all over the media and hired private investigators, and no one actually could figure out what could happen to her. Still a mystery. That's a really freaky bit though, isn't it? The fact that she was seen on camera but no one actually knows where she is. It's not like they found a body. Like, theoretically she could still be alive, but I think the possibility of that being reality is very small. In 2017, private detectives from Poland discovered that one of the people working in the garage truck saw her. He claims he saw her talking with a white guy. Police corruption ... He never testified because he was a cop. His colleagues covered him. That's why they started the search a week later. We shall never find out what happened to her if cop corruption is in it. I mean, that is another possibility. Put it this way, if a police officer actually committed the crime against her, they could just cover it up. I mean, it happens all the time. It's happened before. It'll happen again in the future. In cases like that, it's not something that's super rare. But yet again, the whole point is the fact that, like, she disappeared and nobody knows where she is. We don't know if she's alive. We don't know if she's dead. We don't know if she fell over and maybe, you know, got stuck in a ditch. Or she could even started a whole new life.
This 14-year-old boy skipped school for the first time ever, got on a train to London, and was never seen again.
Okay, so I remember this case very vividly. I don't remember it growing up, but it's a very popular case in the UK. In the UK, there's 2 famous missing people cases. The most famous one is obviously Madeleine McCann, but then there's this guy.
Andrew Gosden lived with his parents and his older sister in Doncaster. His parents were very religious, but they weren't the type to push their faith on their children. From all accounts, the family seemed very close and happy. Andrew, only 14 years old, was described as being mature beyond his years, deep and academically gifted. The kid was very, very smart. He was a math genius. He got straight A's in all of his classes. He was able to cruise through school and achieve with like little to no effort. The summer before he vanished, he was chosen for a young, gifted, and talented program. And when When he returned home, he was different, but like a good different. He seemed really excited about the things that he learned and the things that he did over the summer. But these weren't the only changes in Andrew shortly before he vanished. About 18 months before his disappearance, he stopped going to church. And a few months before he disappeared, he quit his Cub Scout group, which he really liked previously. About 2 weeks before Andrew disappeared, the new school year began. Andrew had a perfect attendance record. He never missed a single day of school in his entire academic career. He never even got in trouble. He was never even late once. Until September 14th, 2007. The day before seemed completely normal. There were no signs that this entire family's lives were about to change forever. Andrew did a puzzle with his dad. He watched TV with his mom before heading off to bed. But the next morning, Andrew accidentally overslept for school about 20 minutes, which he had never done before. And his mom noticed that he seemed irritated that morning, which was really out of character. That morning, Andrew left for school in his school uniform, acting like everything was normal, but it wasn't. Instead of walking to the school bus stop, Andrew walked to a nearby park, and he waited there until around the time that his parents would have left for work. After his parents left for work, he returned home. He changed out of his school uniform, put on black jeans and a black Slipknot t-shirt, which was like a typical weekend outfit for Andrew, who was a really big fan of like rock and metal music. Andrew then walked to an ATM. He withdrew 200 pounds from his 214 balance bank account. Andrew then walked to the train station where he purchased a one-way ticket to London. He was insistent on purchasing the one-way ticket, even though the lady working the ticket counter told Andrew that it would have only been 50 pence more for him to purchase the round-way ticket.
I will pause it there because in the comment section, a lot of people were talking about how someone as young as him was able to get a ticket for a train. In the UK and Europe, it's very normal for kids to get on buses, trains, taxis, etc. In Northern Ireland, somebody who's 12, 13, 14 could easily get in a train into Belfast, and a conductor wouldn't bat an eyelid.
And for my US audience, 50 pence would be about 60 cents extra for him to purchase the round ticket than the one-way ticket. Andrew boarded that train to London. Witnesses said that he didn't talk to anyone, he just sat alone, and he was playing his handheld PSP video game console. CCTV footage recorded Andrew arriving in London. He left the train station and then was never seen again. It has now been over 17 years since anyone has seen Andrew Gosden. Andrew's school actually realized right away when he didn't come to school because it had literally never happened before. They tried to call his parents since this was so unusual, but they accidentally called the wrong number. Andrew's parents actually didn't even realize that their son was missing until dinner time around 6 p.m. because they thought that their kid was just in his bedroom locked away playing video games.
It's crazy to think how different outcome could have been if the school rang the parents on the correct number. They made such a silly mistake by miscalling the parents with the wrong number, and now their child hasn't been seen for 17 years. Think of it, imagine they got the call from school, went home and found him. How different the whole story could have been. We might never even have heard of this story because it might never have happened.
Well, as soon as they realized, they went and they called to report him missing. They were hoping that he was maybe just at a friend's house and had lost track of time. But obviously that wasn't the case. It actually wasn't until witnesses at the train station that saw Andrew's missing person poster that the investigators found out that he went to London instead of school the day that he went missing. And listening right now, you probably believe that Andrew just ran away. I mean, it makes sense. He purchased the one-way ticket to London. He withdrew almost all the money out of his bank account. But it's the other things that Andrew brought with him to London and also the things that he didn't bring that makes me second guess whether or not he actually meant to run away forever. Andrew left his house with his house keys and his PSP handheld video game, but many people question why he would bring his house keys if he never meant to return home. But what's more shocking to me is what Andrew chose not to bring if he was planning on running away forever. He didn't bring extra changes of clothes. He didn't bring his passport. He didn't even bring his birthday money, which would have been an extra 100 or something more bucks. And if you were planning on running away forever, why would you not bring all the tools at your disposal? But the biggest indicator for me that Andrew didn't mean to run away forever, that he meant to come home at some point, is he did not bring the charger for his PSP video game handheld console. For a 14-year-old boy who loved video games, I feel like that would have been a big priority. You would bring the charger for your video game console if you were planning on never coming home. I mean, this is definitely the biggest question mark for me. In this case, why Andrew went to London the day he disappeared is as big of an unanswered question as why he went missing and where he is now. Some have speculated that maybe Andrew met someone online, maybe someone playing Xbox. You know how you can like talk to people online playing Xbox. You know that he skipped school to meet his new friend, but that person wasn't who they said they were. Others have speculated that Andrew went to London to go see some concerts because it was confirmed that some bands that he liked were actually playing in London the day that he disappeared, and that he unfortunately met some foul play along the way. After Andrew vanished, there were some reported sightings of him in London. He was alone, just in London. And if that's true, although it's never been confirmed, it kind of does seem that maybe he did run away because he's just alone in London. In June of 2018, Andrew's family reported that a man had claimed to have spoken to someone online that went by the username Andy Rue, which was a nickname that Andrew Gosden's family called Andrew. This Andy Rue person apparently said that his boyfriend had recently left them and they needed $200 for rent, but they did not have a bank account because they ran away when they were a teenager. Sadly, I was unable to find any more information on this. I cannot confirm if this actually happened or if this person was just a troll. If Andrew Gosden was alive today, he would be 31 years old. At the time that he disappeared, he wore really, really thick glasses. Andrew also is deaf in his left ear, and in his right ear, he has a really, really recognizable double ridge. If he was still alive today, he would have the same double ridge. It's like his fingerprint, it would never change. This case is really hard for me to make up my mind about what I think happened. It's so odd, and there's so many unanswered questions. I mean, why did this child who, always did things by the book, changed so many things about his schedule, his behavior, the day that he disappeared?
The whole story just is really weird, isn't it? It's just the fact that it wasn't like him to act like that and then he just disappeared. I read online that apparently he had a granny who lived in London, so maybe he's going to go and visit the granny. I'm not sure if that's correct, by the way. It's just something that I read. There's two main possibilities. Either he has ran away or he's went to meet somebody in London. Either way, it's been 17 years since he's been seen. Is he still missing to this day? Yeah, he is, which is why it kind of makes people think that maybe he went and met somebody. And people were talking about him being groomed online. See, back in that day, it was so much easier to groom people in real life. Could have been someone he met in the library, someone outside of school, even like a relative or a close family friend. I think he was definitely talking to someone online. See, I don't believe that just because back then social media wasn't as big. Keep in mind, this wasn't a couple of years ago, this was over 17 years ago. So if he's going to be groomed by anyone, it's most likely he's going to be groomed by somebody in real life. What if he did just run away? What if behind closed doors his parents were the reason he had perfect grades and perfect attendance? He got tired of always having to be the perfect child. I mean, obviously the parents were religious, so some people online were maybe speculating he was gay. Now, there's no proof of that. However, think of it, if you have religious parents and obviously you like men and it goes against their religious belief, it might make you feel very stressed out. You might want to get out of that environment. I don't know, it's just very, very weird. And yet again, it's just the fact that no one knows where he is. Now, there has been alleged sightings of him. They've never actually turned into anything. But it just is weird. Like, I really do want to know the answer. And who knows, maybe one day we will know the answer. Think of it, people do run away and they don't want to be found. Maybe he was one of them people.
"You will never find him," is what she put in a note before taking her own life. And she was right, as to this day, Timothy Pitson has never been found. Timothy Pitson was the only child to James and Amy Pitson. At the time of this incident, the couple were going through a rocky time in their relationship, as in 2008, it was reported Amy was meeting up with her ex. Despite this, they tried to make things work, but things were never the same. On the 11th of May 2011, 6-year-old Timothy was last seen by his father James when he dropped him off at elementary school. Shortly after, at just 8:15 a.m, Amy, his mother, picked him up from school, telling them that they had a family emergency. But this was obviously a lie. And over the next 3 days, Amy and Timothy visited various attractions, including the Brookfield Zoo and water parks in Illinois and Wisconsin. CCTV captured them at these locations, appearing to have such a good time together. In the meantime, James had reported them both missing and was trying to get in contact with Amy, but had no luck. On the 12th of May, Amy and Timothy drove to a resort in Wisconsin Dells. The following morning at 10 a.m, they are seen on CCTV footage together, waiting in line to check out. At 1:30 p.m, Amy did start to contact family members, assuring them that she and Timothy were safe. She told them that Timothy was her son and she could do what she wanted and would return in 1 to 2 days. In these phone calls, Timothy was heard in the background. Even though she contacted family members, she did not contact her husband. At 7:25 p.m, Amy was sighted at the family dollar store where she purchased some stationery. This time she was alone. She then went to the nearby Sullivan's food store at 8 p.m. and then checked in to the Rockford Inn in Rockford between 11:15 and 11:30. The following morning, Amy was found dead in her motel by staff. She had taken her own life. She left a note stating that Timothy was safe and would never be found. The investigation into Timothy's disappearance revealed revealed that Amy had deliberately made steps to obscure her and Timothy's whereabouts. Her vehicle showed signs of being parked in a grassy area near a stream, suggesting she may have transferred Timothy to someone else. Additionally, items belonging to Timothy were missing, including his Spider-Man backpack, his toys, and clothes. Investigators believe Amy may have been planning Timothy's disappearance for months. In February and March 2011, she had also took 2 unexplained trips to these areas where he would disappear from. Family members have speculated that Amy may have given Timothy to someone she trusted before taking her own life. Timothy's grandmother believes he may be living in a secluded religious community. It was reported that Amy did want to raise Timothy as a Mormon, but the family did not support her with these beliefs. In April 2019, a man in Kentucky claimed to be Timothy Pitson, but DNA tests quickly revealed that the individual was 23-year-old Brian Rinney, who had a history of mental illness and criminal behaviour. He was later sentenced to prison for this hoax, which deeply affected Timothy's family. Despite the lack of any concrete leads, his father James strongly believes that his son is somewhere out there, possibly living under a different identity. The National Centre of Missing and Exploited Children have released an age-progressed image to aid in the search, and as of today, Timothy Pitson still remains missing.
I find it very interesting how they mentioned her being religious, because there is a lot of communities out there which are quite secluded to do with religion, basically small religious towns. If you ever wanted somebody to disappear and never be found again but also be in good hands, I feel like that's the type of community you give them to. Imagine Timothy is watching this now not knowing what happened to him. I don't understand how he would not remember who he was. Surely at that age you would have memories. I mean, I do. But then yet again, you know, there's been times where people have been watching videos about missing people and then realise it's them. Could you imagine he watches a video like that and goes, oh god, I'm not who I think I am, you know, I'm actually a missing kid. That was selfish of her because the dad was worried about them both. She was not the only parent. I kind of want to know why she didn't want her son to see her dad. Could it be due to their relationship falling apart, or could it be because he was a bad guy? She took her life in the end, so she died knowing where her son was, but never told anyone. This is giving me abusive husband vibes. I think she gave him to someone to look after. But who though? That's what I want to know. He's been missing for what, like 13, 14 years? Where's he living? You know, how old would he be now? He would be 20 something. I think there's only 2 possible outcomes. Either she killed him and hid his body, or she gave him to somebody. Thinking about it now, maybe giving him to a church leader or someone who's part of a religious group makes the most sense. If they're in their own community in a secluded area, that is one way you'll never be found. Well, anyways guys, we'll leave that video there. That's some missing people cases. If you would like more missing people cases, let me definitely will. First, fingers crossed, and see you all tomorrow for another video.